Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Rachel.
How you doing?
That's how I'm doing.
What?
Those
Can you
are
do-
words.
No, that
Ah.
vocalizations are different from words. Honey.
Relieved. I'm feeling relieved. Yeah, relieved and post-coital kind of. Like I've just had this. I've just been fucked for several episodes.
Fuck right off.
I've been fucked for
Fuck right off.
I've been fucked for many episodes of a season in a row, and I'm done. I'm smoking a cigarette.
Is this
I'm
a
relieved.
pegging kind of fucking? Or
I'm not saying. I don't want to, guys. I'm not going to define what genitalia sex toys Discovery used against me.
Against you.
Oh, yeah.
That's a loaded phrase.
That's a loaded phrase. What are we in season 1 of Discovery, where we're just going to play fast and loose with consent? So we are here, Rachel. What are we here to do on our show? What podcast is this? Did people tune into a random podcast by happenstance and they don't know what is here? What's up before them?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Spotify or Apple Music is just auto playing a random podcast.
We're actually haunting somebody's radio right now. We're just coming through their radio and they're screaming, Lloyd, the radio's at it again. They're giving us those 2 Australians. They're at it again about Star Trek Discovery. I don't even watch that show. Lloyd. And the tragedy is, Lloyd's been dead for 50 years. And so we're never going to know what Lloyd has to say.
Here, this particular show is Yum Yum Trek, where we're talking about Star Trek Discovery. And this particular episode is our Season 4 wrap-up, where we're going to talk the usual stuff.
Yes.
Our history and relationship with the season.
The highs and
instead
lows.
of the episode. Maybe discuss our favourite Hugh moment and the Yum Yum moment of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Give our overall thoughts.
Our overall feelings and the high points, the low points, the best episodes, the worst episode, favourite character moments, least favourite characters, all of that great stuff. And zero in on how Season 4 of Discovery has been changed through our podcasting experience. Now, history and relationship-wise, with Season 4, it was a little bit more complicated than in previous seasons with the series because of COVID being a thing that impacted the production of this. It delayed certain things, as well as all the nitty-gritty business side of making a television series and distributing it. We talked very heavily in our first episode about how internationally, outside of the US, Season 4 of Discovery was withheld. It was removed from streaming services that it was previously on and was being withheld until Paramount Plus was globally available so that everyone could get it. Even though we in Australia already had Paramount Plus, we weren't allowed to have Discovery on it for many months or even over a year. Only the US, so...
I don't even know if Canada got to have it, and it's fucking made in Canada.
Yeah. Cronenberg couldn't even watch the show he was in. I know he's crying about it in his big sunglasses that he wore at the red carpet that one time. People, type in David Cronenberg, and one of the first images you're going to see is those fucking awesome sunglasses he wore recently. You know he used his paycheck from Discovery to get those sunglasses, and I'm so proud of my boy Cronenberg.
Well,
God
he didn't
bless.
get any money from his recent film.
No, his recent film didn't get it wasn't a big success, but history relationship-wise, that is a key of it, is the fuck you and slap to the face before the season even came out. So
we live in the shadow of that.
I know that you personally weren't looking that forward to Discovery. That's a given. But do you think that the big slap in the face there that was bestowed for Discovery before it even came out made things even lower, the head even lower down walking in?
It made me wonder if they were ashamed of what they made and they wanted to hide it from the world.
It is something that did pop into mind. Or I had the opposite of, oh, we're not fucking good enough for your show, are we? Oh, it's that elitism. I know it's an American show, and boy, did it feel it this season. I mentioned that throughout about how American it felt at points.
Oh, yeah.
But, what was your overall relationship with it when we watched it that first time? How would you summarize your experiences?
And that's it. Okay. That was a bit shit, though. You thought you had something there. And you don't. You really don't.
Yeah.
You're very proud of yourself. And it's just like I look at it and see a giant turd and I'm like, yeah, it's hard work making shit.
Rachel, for certain yumlings out there, that was a little too eloquently put for them. If you could just simplify that a little so that people could get a finer understanding of your views on it. You were a little too English teacher there. The curtains are just blue, Rachel.
I really didn't think it was.
I'm joking. So I
thought I was being rather clear, but I guess I was using a lot of figurative language.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was bad and I didn't like it.
Yeah. So
that's one sentence. I know that it's not a simple sentence. Discovery season 4 was bad in my opinion. I think that's still not a simple thing.
I didn't hate it as strongly as season 3. I found it mildly okay. Boring is the word that springs to mind often, but it didn't insult my intelligence or my morals as strongly. And I bring that up because Star Trek Picard season 2 exists, and that offended me on a moral level. And so it just stood in this place of that wasn't a season of television that was made. I didn't even look at it properly as Star Trek. I just looked at it as...
No, I don't think of it as Star Trek.
There's been many shows we've watched in the 10 years of our relationship that we haven't thought about again since we binged it or gave it a go just on the happenstance. You know, I relate this to, and this isn't even to say that this was a bad show, but we enjoyed it enough and then we stopped watching it and have never talked about it again. Masters of Sex, the Michael Sheen show where it was okay. It was fine.
First season was okay. Second season was less good, so we stopped.
It wasn't like it was the worst thing. It was fairly dumb and simplified at points, but... And I'm not even saying that season 4 of Discovery is as good as that show. I'm just saying in terms of my viewership experience of it, it was just, I've watched that. If somebody mentions that, I could say, I've seen that. Yeah. And they would ask, did you have an opinion strongly on it? And I would go, no, not really. That's Discovery Season 4 for me. That's what it has been until our podcasting experience. And that really shook things up a bit.
We have a list of questions for when we do wrap-ups. And one of them is general thoughts on the season.
Yes.
And I tend to go through those questions and do notes because I'm I don't
trust yourself.
I don't fucking remember otherwise. And I got to that question and I just wrote one word. You want to try and guess what that word was?
Meh.
Dull.
Oh, I was close.
You were close.
I was a letter off. If you spell it incorrectly, I was a letter off.
Fool.
Wasn't that better than anything in season 4? That entertained you more than anything in the 13 hours that we just watched?
I gave no yum yum, so...
Well, yes. General thoughts, I would heartily agree. And Discovery Season 4, I think, has ended the debate that we have had in our podcast from the beginning, even through to Babylon 5. The debate that we've struggled with, that we've been on opposite sides of and switched sides of depending an episode, which is what is worse to you? An episode that offends you and angers you, or one that leaves you apathetic? It's done. That debate is over now. It is the apathetic. This was a miserable...
opposite of love.
This was a miserable slog. This was
I'm pretty
difficult
sure that
to
I've
podcast
forgotten
through.
all of it already.
I've forgotten most of it as well, but this was just one of the few times, genuinely I say this, I questioned if we should just stop talking about Star Trek in general. Like,
Less!
No.
Less! He said it.
Not Discovery. Not just Discovery. Not just Picard. Not just Straight. Like, all of it. All of Star Trek. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, that's how dull this was.
Now. All of it's tainted.
And because this was just such a nothing burger, and I wasted my time watching it and discussing it.
A burger.
But what about you, if you want to expand a bit more on your overall thoughts on this now, having revisited it?
To have thoughts, I would have to remember things. And I don't. Like, I was looking over the episode titles, because we're going to play a little game.
Yeah, we'll do that in a second.
And then I was like, oh, yeah! They stretched it out this way, and they stretched it out that way. One thing that I remember appreciating, and this was more through the discussions, was just how many structural problems there are with Discovery.
And they're ones that you can easily fix.
And they're ones that, like, they repeat.
Oh.
Like, Michael's arc in every season
It's the same arc.
This one is, like, they push it back into the, like, background of the show, but it's the same one. It's just, like, it's not meant to be, like, a roller coaster where you go in the same loop-de-loop over and over again.
And if you're going to do that, because there are television shows, Mad Men, a wonderful example, Better Call Saul, another great example, Boardwalk Empire, also one.
It's the point
where the point is the character is stuck in this self-destructive cycle,
and they acknowledge that.
Well, not just acknowledge, but the fact that they're incapable of breaking it is the narrative thrust of the story.
Their arc is their failure to break the arc.
Yes.
Break the pattern.
Break the pattern, even if they try. While Discovery, that isn't the point. And to even hammer that down, the same relationship as in each season. Michael is this arrogant, selfish, God complex, has an issue that they must overcome in the season through a galaxy-wide...
Fighting with an authority figure.
Yes, season 1, Saru was that authority figure who was countering them and questioning them, but by the end, they stand there and go, "You're right, Michael." Season 2, you had Admiral Cornwall filling that responsibility at points. I actually passed around to a few people. Season 3, you had Admiral Vance, and now this season, it's the President, where they stand there and say...
It's like moving up the chain of command.
They stand there in the first episode and therein and say, their motive of, I don't trust you, Michael. You need to earn my respect. And then at the end
she
of
is
the
the
season,
first mutineer.
and then at the end of the season, they have that moment where it's like, remember earlier when I said I didn't trust you?
We stood here.
We stood here and had a moment.
You've come a long way.
You've come a long way, Michael.
Nope, she hasn't. Nope.
But to just go to what you were saying, structural issues are very apparent in Discovery's 4th season, where it does make you reflect back that these are the same ones that have been happening since the beginning.
Yes.
And yet there are points where they avoid them, so it makes you think maybe they've changed, but then they go right back to them again. Like, an episode can be one where, oh, they've tidied that up, there's a momentum of a good story, and then they throw it away to go back into the mud.
Star Trek Discovery is so full of potholes. Some may even say plot holes. That when they try and, avoid one, they just end up driving into another.
Rachel, we have a game
Yes.
that we play. Usually you rattle the titles off at me to see if I remember, but we're going to go a little differently here since both of us have memory problems. I'm going to go the odd number ones to ask you if you remember what happened in them, and you ask me what are the even number episodes.
No, it's the other way around.
No, I'm going to ask you what Kobayashi Maru is.
No,
Yes.
no. We agree.
No, we didn't. I said odd number for you, even number for me. That's
I
what
thought
was
you meant
agreed.
an odd number.
Are you upset because you looked up the plot?
No, I have a list. That's all.
Okay, hit me then. I will play your way as always. Rachel, let's not be the Discovery Riders and make a mess of it. Let's just get in there.
What happened in Kobayashi Maru?
Kobayashi Maru is an episode where we get the DMA's rippling effects hitting a space station or a relay station, something along that lines. They have to do a little away mission to help save them, and the end of it is Book's planet getting destroyed. So that is what that one is about. Now, what was Anomaly about as an episode?
Them discovering the DMA? Book dealing with the trauma and seeing the ghost?
Was that his ghost dad one?
No, he's just seeing Leto running around.
Yeah, but what was the story? What was the plot in that one? I know that those things are there, but what was the story in that one?
I think we meet Taka.
Is that the one when we meet Taka? I thought we didn't meet him till later.
No. That must be wrong. It must just be that them.
I know this is the one where they get the 0G.
Discovering and naming the DMA.
Did they name it then? Okay. So I don't know what Anomaly was about either. And I'm going to tell you what the IMDb description.
The dark matter anomaly.
Well, yes, it has to do with that, but what was the story? Was that the one where they went physically inside of it? I think that was another episode.
No, that was.
Let me read the description and see if this jogs your memory at all.
Okay.
Saru returns to help the USS Discovery uncover the mystery of an unusually destructive new force. Wait, as Burnham leads the crew, she must also She must also find a way to help Book cope with an unimaginable loss. I couldn't tell you what happened in that episode.
I was fairly on track with that description.
Yeah, but
I mentioned all of those things.
But what happened in it? I don't know what happened in that one.
So Book is depressed, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck the DMA is. Because I think that's the one where they find out that it's maybe
it can move.
It can move, and it's not a natural phenomenon.
Well, they find that out later because at the end they find out it can move.
Yeah.
Okay, that both of us, I'm going to call that a mulligan there because we both don't really know what the plot is. We know elements that happen in it. Now, tell me what the next one is.
Choose to live.
Oh, well, that's an obvious one. That's the one with the Romulan warrior nun and how Michael's mother is a terrible person and hates Michael and would rather hang out with these nuns. And so they must help this rogue warrior nun protect this ancient alien life that's in danger and in peril, and they help save them. And I'm sure there's a B plot that matters. Maybe Adira made a pie. But that was that one. Am I right? That's the Romulan. It has to be.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Lowest rated episode of the season. All is possible. What happened in that? See, I remember this one.
What the fuck was it? Shit. I should know this.
All is possible is in the episode.
Is this Tilly leaving?
This is Tilly leaving. So, what was the story, though?
The, Adira and the away mission and the CGI monster that they animated it differently than what the dialogue suggests.
Yep, you got it. The cadets.
The cadets.
Cronenberg assigns Tilly some cadets, so that's...
But there's another plot.
Oh, there's like 4 other plots that get in the way. I think that's the one where it's baby's first politics as well, where Michael and Saru has to help Tarina and the president negotiate.
Yeah, because they're negotiating the re-entry, and Navarre wants basically
the data.
The easy out clause where it's like at any time they can just yeet themselves out of the Federation.
What an episode. So what's episode 5? We are 5 in and...
The examples. See, I remember this one.
Oh, is this the one with the prisoner that gets to kill himself and we all cheer because Michael made a decision that allowed a guy to kill himself, and then Star Trek Picard would later on also romanticize suicide? It's very odd. Okay, the examples. Stormy weather is episode 6. I remember this one. I remember our discussion more than the episode.
This isn't the gambling planet one, is it?
No. No. Come on. Stormy weather. What could have happened in stormy weather?
Is it about a literal weather event?
No.
Is it about the DMA more so again?
Kind of. Stormy weather. Come on, don't you remember?
Stupid bitch AI gets sentience.
It's not that episode, but she does sing Stormy Weather. Do you not remember this? This was our least favorite episode of the season. We maintained that for a very long time, and I don't know if it's still maintained by the end of this. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It's the one where they go into the void that's left behind.
The toxic waste.
And it's just a void of space. There's no light, there's no stars, and the ship's getting eaten away out by the toxicity, and we really didn't like that episode.
Yeah,
we loathed it.
Totally forgot about it.
Of course you did. So 7? Lucky number 7. So what have we got?
But to connect.
Okay, I remember the title. And that means I got it right. But to connect. I don't know. Is this the one where Taka and Book escape with the spore drives technology at the end because they didn't get the vote they wanted?
At the end, yes. So what happens before that?
It's just the whole episode's just Michael convincing people to do communication and Book and Taka convincing them to kill. Is that it?
Yeah, it's when they have the big debate.
Is there another story? There has to be another story, right? Like, that is so inconsequential. There has to be something else. Oh, is this
Kovich determines...
Oh, the AI! Hey, you know what's funny? At no point have we discussed that Grey's body and they came back to life. And I think we skipped that episode. It was such a game changer. So I'm gonna say I failed the but to connect one. But Rachel, you know which one All In is.
That's the Casino Planet.
Yep, that's with the special guest star that we liked so much, and Steve joined us to discuss it. The only season that we had a guest on,
Only episode.
Yes, sorry, the only episode. Only episode within the season. So 9. What was number 9?
Rubicon.
That's the one I gave a yum yum to. It's about rubbing baby bones all over you so you can feel happy emotions.
Pheromones.
Oh, the pheromones. It was the only structurally sound episode of the season. It had character development that wasn't just hinging on developing characters for the season-long plot, but just for the sake of doing it as well, which is very much welcome. So that was the only one I gave a yum yum to. The Galactic Barrier, episode 10.
It's when I remember our discussion about this one, I think, a reasonable amount too. It's when they cross the galactic barrier.
Oh, yeah. And what happens?
So it takes ages for them to get through. And they're getting through, and then it's cutting back to Taka and the flashbacks with his backstory with him and explaining his friendship with Oso?
I wouldn't
Is that
know.
that dude's name? Who gives a shit?
I couldn't tell you.
His definitely platonic friend.
Oh yeah, no homo here.
No homo here.
I just want to say,
they're looking for, a version of anti-programmable matter or something like that.
Yeah.
That's hidden behind a thing.
And don't forget,
because they need that for their shields to get through the galactic barrier. And even though it took Discovery a whole episode to get through the barrier, pretty much, they managed to do it off screen because Tark is a genius.
I'm going to admit to my wrongdoing. Rubicon is not the Baby Bones episode.
What is it?
Nan returns. I fucked up there. It's my fault. That's the episode where they blow up the DMA. I'm so sorry. I know you Discovery fans are listening, furious that I screwed that up. The order of the episodes, so important to how the story progressed this season. I'm sorry. I don't deserve to be on the podcast, Rachel. I should be spanked until I'm red and thrown out of the room because episode
and Taka betrays Book.
Episode 11, which is Rosetta. That's the Baby Bones one. See, the R titles got me. So Rosetta, Baby Bones, we've already gone through it. Species 10C. Do you remember that episode? That was fairly recent in our discussions. Species 10C.
Is that the one when they get the lights? And they start to be able to decode the language?
Yeah.
Like they get the pheromones plus the lights and they go off on the little bubble.
Yeah, and then at the very end, Taka and Book escape with Jet Reno.
They
burn the plasma stuff. And
General does the plasma vent to then let them get away.
And the last one is Coming Home.
Yes.
We just discussed it, so that one is not too memorable to me. I couldn't tell you what happened in it. I know that an American politician showed up at the very end and it meant nothing to me. No, of course I remember this. This is where they ham-fistedly say that the season was not just about connection, family, and communication, but it was about the environment too.
Change.
It's about not just climate change, environmentalism in general. It's just don't drill for oil or frack or cut down trees or fart. Don't do that. That's bad. That's what the season was about. So that is Season 4 of Discovery. We had a very hard time recollecting the episodes, which I think says everything you need to know. The season overall has very low ratings on each episode for it on IMDb, but we're talking negatively. Let's talk a bit more positively. What were some of your favorite moments in the season? Was there a particular favorite as well?
I don't know if I have any genuine moments of enjoyment. I have sarcastic ones.
No genuine favorite moments.
I don't think I have a moment where I was like, oh, I like this. I have a moment of like, oh, fuck. That's hilarious kind of ones, but I cannot think of any.
What's genuine? Is there anything specifically holding you back from a favorite outside of just this season just drains away from the memory banks?
That and like the things that are here, I didn't enjoy that much. Like the things that I do remember, I'm like, oh, this could have been something. Like I think about all of our conversations about how there's ideas here.
Yeah, and that we praise it for doing a thing normally.
I think an example that illustrates a lot of our frustrations. Why is it Kobayashi Maru and not Kobayashi Saru?
They don't take
Be fun.
They don't take the fun route.
Be fun. Be character-based. Have a story to tell.
I understand your struggle here because Season 4 very much is a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy where when we'll talk about the bad too, but it was not as aggressive or arrogant or pig-headed or obnoxious in its badness. It was just everything about Discovery, but like you photocopied it a million times, where it just loses the definition and color, and it fades and fades and fades. It degrades over time.
Can I say that Dead Baby Bones is one of my favorite moments of the season?
My favorite moment of the season is in the Baby Bones episode.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah, there you go. Your favorite moment is when Hugh got high off Baby Bones. My favorite moment on a sincere level, and I think it's because it's the most TOS scene, was the conversation between President Rillick and the linguist scientist guy, where he was doing the crosswords. When he was doing the crosswords. I thought that was a well-written scene. I thought that was a well-acted scene. It tied into the themes of the episode as well as the overall season, and it was a self-contained moment. And it did remind me of some interactions that you would have between the characters of yesteryear, whether it was Spock and Jim, or Tuvok and Janeway, or T'Pol and Archer. Just that the person who is logical, smart, excellent in their craft and field, but they're emotionally detached. This guy, not in the way that he's a Vulcan where he has no emotions, but he was just very flippant.
Yeah, he doesn't suppress
his
emotions.
Then and he was cynical. And then you had the president, who is the human in the quotations there, who is more empathetic and understanding, and understands that we have to appreciate social normities and be a little bit more precious in how you talk to people in a high crisis scenario. You have to walk a fine line, a fine, delicate line. And I thought that was the one great moment of writing and acting combined in the entire season. If there was more moments like that, where it was quiet and it actually had something to say, and not just something to say, but something genuine in what it was saying, I would have loved season 4 a lot more. Season 3, for all of its faults, for everything I hated about it, there were a lot more of these things in there as well.
I have remembered something.
Whoa, everybody, please sit down, hold your butts, because Rachel has a memory.
No, I have a moment where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember genuinely enjoying that moment and feeling like, yes, that belongs in Discovery, because it was so dumb, but it worked, which is Book punching Taka with a cat collar on his wrist.
Yeah, and it goes through the shields.
Yeah.
What a moment that was. Now, is it as difficult for you to determine your least favorite moments, the moments that really offended you or you didn't enjoy, or things that you look at and say, that really didn't work?
Taka's death.
Okay.
Taka's death is the one that leaps to mind, because obviously, like, I'm thinking back to the last episode, and it just, the actor has done so much more work than the script, but he can't redeem that. Like, it is ideally meant to be like a potentially hopeful moment for that character, but we've seen everything over and over again. Like, there's no hope from the audience. At least I think there's no hope left that he will survive, that he will get home. And you don't want him to.
No, you don't.
You don't want him to. You don't think that he deserves happiness.
As much flavoring as the performer put into it, the writing did not. The writing didn't contribute to any empathy or sympathy that us, the viewer, could feel for him. It was solely the charm of that individual that brought it.
Okay, well, I've got more, but would you like to give one?
I would like to hear one or two more from you. Because I only have one primary one, and
Okay.
the rest of them
I wanna hear it.
Okay, so for me, it is a quintessential example of a big middle finger to the audience, and it was in All In. We talked about this heavily with our guest, Steve, where you have the poker scene, the big thing that you're getting into the story for, where Book and Michael have to play poker against each other.
The
And
editing?
everything was wrong. They played comedy music when it wasn't supposed to be there. They played this epic swelling music when there was supposed to be comedy music there. The way that Michael is being all goofy and the other players don't call any of it out when there's obvious cheating. And then when we are down to just Michael and Book, we have this whimsical music playing when they're now being serious. It was
a shit show.
It was a shit show.
It was a shit show.
There was no reason for why they presented it and laid it out and constructed it in the way that they did. On a fundamental level, it was wrong. It communicated the wrong points at the wrong periods of time. It was aggravating. And that is, to me, it is the image of what season 4 is, which is you could step away from the bear trap or you could step in it. And it steps in it. You don't need to. You don't need to, but it does.
That episode falls into so many traps.
It falls into so many that you could avoid.
Sci-fi obsession with boxing.
The boxing. Oh my, oh whoa. Oh whoa. But that, to me, the poker and the music and the editing and all of it was deeply frustrating to me in a way that season 4 is deeply frustrating, where you know what this is supposed to be. And if I describe it to you just at face value, you would say, oh, there doesn't sound anything wrong with that. But then I have to break it down into those finer details that shows you the cracks. That to me is my worst or least favorite moment of the season.
I have two others that are like, I have many, but two that I want to pair together. Which is Tarina's mind meld with the 10C.
Oosh, yeesh, yeah, the little tufts of wind in the hair.
Like, just the way that that's thrown out there in a cold open. And
adds nothing.
Adds nothing. You're back where you started. And in a similar vein of, like, sci-fi powers, the fact that this all, like, near the start of the season, Michael's like, do your empathy thing.
Oh.
And then he does his empathy thing and everything works out. If only people listen to Michael.
If only people listen. Another failure moment for me was the 0G sequence where they lose gravity and they float in the air and then smack down and float around. And we went heavily into that. But to just simplify it, is it supposed to be cool or funny? No one knows. Disagreements.
Was it meant to be one for the first time and a different thing for the second?
Yes, it is a sequence where you can play it certain ways, and they tried to play it all of them, and yet none of them. It is a sequence where I would love to have seen that executed in one of the camps. It being a funny scene, it being a properly funny, comedic set piece where we see the whole ship in 0G floating about and bumping into things. Could you imagine Tig Notaro, who was not in that sequence, floating there and commenting about, oh man, now my back feels great. See? Did you have that reaction when you watched their version?
No.
And then you have this is an awesome sci-fi set piece where now we have to solve a problem while we're floating 0G, and it's kind of badass and dangerous and cool, and it didn't do that either. Yet it also did. It was one of those where I'm pulling my hair out going, I know the ways you could make this work and how you professional writers don't know yourself.
Okay, so I have a, I guess it's a category of moments which are so bad they're good, which is any scene with Cronenberg.
Love that guy.
Love that guy. Love what he does here. Love how zero fucks it is. I love it. But it's fucking bad.
Oh, it's overt in how cynical it is. Cronenberg is literally there just for money.
Like anytime he's on screen this whole season, and just the fact that like sub him in because clearly he didn't want that much work.
Any other of those so bad good moments, because I only have one other negative that I want to bring up that may fall into that, but I want to
Ghost Dad.
I hated that.
Ghost Dad.
I fucking hated that.
And ominous children laughing and running in the background. Ghosts as well. Well, it's just the one boy, but he pees multiple times. There was another one too.
Remember when this show was initially about giving dilithium to all the different planets so that we could help connect them to the... Remember when this
whole episode that was about that?
Remember when this was a show about a human who grew up as a Vulcan and they had to...
She called Spock a half-breed and made him the man that he
is today. Whenever people say to me, Ryan, that was a harsh statement that you made to Rachel in that episode, just know that I'm motivating her to become the hero she will become in the future, okay? You can't get mad at me. I'm a nice man. I have 2 words for you to define the last bad thing, okay? And me saying these 2 words, you will laugh maybe, or you will cry, or you will exclaim, Nilsson's wig.
Yes, I was leaving it for you. I was like,
How? How did they fuck that up?
I was the one that started it, but you helped keep it going, like, almost every single time she's on screen. One of us would, like, say, ugh.
That is the poker scene.
Like the wig.
That's the poker scene where you don't need to screw it up. Like, you know what it's supposed to be, but they've screwed it up. Why does this actress need to have blonde hair? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Grey changed their entire appearance after they got a new body with no comment. Who gives a rat's ass if this actress, who's a background player, dyed her blonde hair brown or red or whatever? So you stick a big sweaty wig on her head.
You know what annoys me about that wig too? Like, it looks so bad. But you know that it's probably expensive.
I actually don't think so.
Like, I think...
Considering other people's hair, like Michael's hair, that looks expensive. All the bits and bobs they put there. But that, it honestly looks very much like the last resort.
Yes,
we didn't know that you dyed your hair. Shit, we can't have this.
Shall we
wig.
use an American phrase?
If we must.
It looks like a Party City wig.
Yeah, it is very embarrassing. And it was a blister on the season.
Can I give the Australian one now? It looks like it's from the reject shop.
Oh, it's not as good as a reject shop wig. Don't even slander. The reject shop would reject this wig.
Spotlight then?
I guess, if we just grabbed material to make fucking rugs and made the wig out of that.
In the tassels.
Yeah, no, not even good enough to be tassels. It was too fucking thick and matted for that. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you see those curls? The curls look like I cut my fucking carpet and into strips, and I tried to curl them myself and staple them to my head.
It looks more like they left the curling iron in too long and just burnt the hair into place.
I agree.
It looks like it's melted together.
It's rough. It's rough.
It's a high low point to end that particular segment on.
My favourite episode of the season was Rosetta, which was the Baby Bones one. Mm-hmm. And it isn't complicated. It's because it was the most logically put together script. A simple away mission and a simple story on Discovery happening at the same time. Both stories, both sides of this, or all sides of this, the characters had experiences that were informed by the narrative we're watching, as well as their own emotions that have been building up throughout the season or the series. And so, yes, we may joke about the baby bones, which does factor in because that's such a weirdly morose and audacious element to just throw in there willy-nilly. But I do believe that this was the high point of the season overall. You did not feel that way when we talked about it. You were furious that I enjoyed this. So everyone's waited with bated breath. What was Rachel's favorite episode of season 4? Now remember, Rachel didn't give a single positive rating to an episode this season, so Rachel's having to choose from a sea of yums which one was the most yum yum.
Okay, so on it, like there are various categories that I could go down for my favorite Yum Yum of the like.
Not your favorite Yum Yum, just your favorite episode. Your favorite Yum. I love this idea of my favorite Yum Yum. But you were saying there's many categories.
Categories that I could go through. Picking my favorite episode of season 4 of Discovery. I could go with which one offended me the least, which one made me feel the most.
I love feeling feelings.
Fuck you. I guess I'll just stop now and just say Rubicon because it's your answer.
I didn't choose Rubicon.
Rosetta.
You can't choose Rosetta because you literally...
I can't!
You literally said in the episode that this was one of the worst you saw of the season, and yet you agreed with me by the end of the discussion that it does have all those things, but you still hated it. Like, that's why I'm like, I'm gonna be you in that episode. Wait, let me be you in let me be you in that episode.
I don't want to talk to you.
Let me be you in that episode. Let me be you in that episode. When you say Rosetta's my favorite, I'll be you. You fucking what? You fucking what? What? You fucking dog? You can't do that. That's how you reacted to me saying I liked it. You were like, is that a joke? Are you fucking joking?
I know.
But no, in all sincerity,
you gave it credit.
Is that the reason that you would put it in your top? Is because
it's not my genuine answer.
Okay, so what is your top one?
I don't know. Like that, I'm struggling with it. Because it's just like, yeah, you ended up convincing me that Rosetta was not as bad as I thought it was. That it did have, like, it had that bare minimum thing, but it failed in all of these other ways. But it was enough for you to forgive it. There's, I think... The one that I'm going to go with, I've already forgotten the name of it.
That's a good sign. Is there actually an episode, or are you just stalling here? Because you are looking with a very furious face at these titles. You are looking at it being like, which one did I choose? What one was it?
No, I was just like, oh, yeah, this is the one. And then I read more of the synopsis, and I'm like, I don't know if I can support this. So I'm like,
Is this first where you cannot choose a favorite episode? I'll allow that, but I'm just wanting to mark it down as a special occasion that Rachel...
I don't have a genuine favorite episode. I think... The one that I feel the most positive about is the one with the Taka flashbacks.
Galactic Barrier.
Because, is it Galactic Barrier?
Yeah, that's where they break through the Galactic Barrier, and meanwhile, Taka is trying to get that stuff, and that's why we have the flashbacks, where we learn about his motivations. Not to get confused in the All In episode where he told all of his story and motivations to Owo, just offhandedly, because Owo psychoanalyzed him somehow. But yeah, I understand why you choose the Galactic Barrier, because we did get a lot out of it. Like, that was one of the few where we walked away with a lot rather than little.
No, I really enjoyed our discussion of it and all of the possibilities for how you could change it and make a really interesting story.
There are bad episodes of this season, an abundance of them. And this is where I have a difficulty.
13.
I have 13
Others
reasons
may
why.
say 12.
13 reasons why. I actually have a difficulty here picking the worst one because for ages it was stormy weather, but as I probably predicted in that episode, I don't know, I cannot remember, I predicted most likely that by the end of the season when we get to this recap, I won't remember why I hated it so much. And I honestly don't remember why. I just know that I did. I edited that episode. I've listened to it more than any other person. And I don't know why Stormy Weather sticks out as supremely bad in this season. But by sheer virtue of my negative emotions towards it still rippling after all of this time, I have to give it a shout out, I guess. But is that my least favorite of the season? I'm gonna have to say no, perhaps. Again, that's the difficulty.
You
so
did really
hard.
hate Ghost Dad.
I really did, but it's so hard to get my fingers on any of these episodes. But I really didn't care for Species 10C. I got so disinterested in it that we just started talking about the state of television rather than getting into the plots of it or the themes or the characters, because they were just so phoned in that I reckon we could have not watched any of these episodes again and just went off our memories and the synopsis and winged it, and no one would have noticed. And so Species 10C has to be my choice with a strong shout out and second place to Stormy Weather. I'm sure if I listened back to Stormy Weather, I would go, oh, of course, Ryan, that's number one, but I can't in good faith give it the worst spot because it just isn't there anymore.
Yeah. I'm going to go all in.
Wow. Is it because we had Steve on?
No.
Steve's not listening. He's not listening to this. He doesn't need to listen to this Star Trek Discovery talk anymore. So you can admit it. It's because we had a Star Trek writer on the podcast. And they brought in their war crimes.
This is not why I would say that it's the best, not the worst.
But so it was all in the worst for you. Why?
Because it could have been fun. It could have been fun, and it thought that it was fun, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It was dumb and bad with every fucking choice. And you know what? I fucking hate that stupid scene with Taka and Owoshku.
It's upsetting because it had a great guest star, a fun character with the owner of the pleasure barge, of the gambling barge, and it even had one of the few brilliant little minor character moments of the woman giving them the winnings. But you have the boxing, you have everything with Owo, you have just Michael and Book trying to compete for the Isolinium. It's a stinker. It's a stinker because it could have been a winner.
I guess it's time to talk about characters.
Oh, there were some this season, were there?
Yeah, Nan was back.
Oh! Sorry. There was a character this season. Commander Nandi.
So
we loved her.
She's your favourite?
She was my favourite character.
Okay, then who was your second favourite?
David Cronenberg.
Who was your third favourite?
Taka.
Yep. Mine is the same.
Really? Not Detmer. Not Nilsson.
Not Grey. Ooh, not Adira.
Ooh, I actually know one of your favourites. You haven't said their name.
Yeah.
You really loved Reese this season. Remember the great journey he went on? You see, when he was young...
The flood!
There was a flood.
I remembered!
So he was your favourite?
No, but
Is there actually someone we could legitimately pick for the worst character of the season? I actually don't even look at her as a character anymore.
But that's a problem for your protagonist.
Yeah, I look at them as a hurdle that the show has to get over in every single episode.
Just as preferring to it as
it's like every single episode,
not a she. Them.
The series, every single episode at this point, it feels like it has to justify
Why?
the ongoing problem that is Michael Burnham, and their justification is they just double down.
Okay,
and
I
you
guess
know what? I
we're in.
respect it. I respect it. I actually don't know.
I guess
like
we're
Michael.
are we not
Michael's
in agreement?
no. Michael's the choice, but I often want to go someone else over Michael because it's just such an old, tired drum that's been hit by anyone who's not a fan or a lover of Discovery. And I understand why she's chosen all the time because she doesn't bring me any pleasure. She's not a protagonist I enjoy following. I don't like listening to the ongoing soliloquies and fortune cookie sayings that she has to go through. And
Her admitting that she has a god complex.
but
and
then being proven that it's actually good to have a god complex. And
yes, she's
but-
the exception.
if I had to pick another one, Adira. I really did not enjoy Adira this season. They did
Jack
nothing.
shit.
They reduced the character of Adira. I was thinking back to People of Earth when they were introduced, and they were like this.
But there's things going on, but they like it has no weight to it. Like the idea, like I really like the line that they have about kind of being excited to be apart from their partner because they get to tell them all about their day because they weren't there.
Too bad that we didn't get to feel that relationship. See it and feel it. I have to choose Adira as my least favorite because it's, again, degradation. They just made Adira Tilly, where Tilly was this nervous, bubbly, blundering, energetic, smart character.
But very qualified and competent.
Adira, think back to how they were introduced as like this very smart
child genius
who was super
teenage
cocky
genius.
and confident, and they could hack the ship like that, and they made them into such a Tilly clone in season 4 because Tilly left, and we need to fill that vacuum. So that is
that spin-off.
That's my
Setup.
my standout.
Okay.
Now,
Few moments.
well, the Hugh Da in general.
Let's do the Huda. He smiled. He nodded.
Was he better?
He had a breakdown. Yes.
Okay, tell me why.
He had stuff to do.
Tell me why he was better in this season
I don't
than
know.
any other season he's been in.
It's much of a muchness, really. Like, I think they had a solid idea of what they wanted to do with him. They don't do it well. The idea of like him taking on this counselor role, which is something that we thought that his character would be well suited to.
We predicted that, and the writers heard us. Thank you for that. And I really do mean that. It was a logical step. He should have been this from the very beginning.
They're still keeping him around for traditional doctory stuff.
Most of which we never see.
Yeah.
But you know it's there.
He's there when people wake up from being unconscious.
And he's there to smile.
Yeah. And like
Always smiling.
do a head gesture to make himself and the other doctor leave the room.
Usually a nod. And he smiles when he does it.
Yeah. So, but like that's pretty good in the way that he's trying to come to terms with the fact that he cannot fix everything and how that is
I mean, he's there.
interfering with his ability to work is the fact that he wants to do everything perfectly and try and help everybody else, but he's not taking care of himself. That story is not executed well,
No.
but it's more of a purpose to his character than he's gotten in other series, and there's more personal agency. It's like Hugh is feeling overwhelmed. Hugh is seeking help with these other, like, with Cronenberg to try and figure out what to do, rather than him being just an offshoot or a parasite on Stamets. It feels like this season, more than any other, Hugh is his own person. Doesn't mean that he's a well-developed character, or I would even say character at all, but there's more there in this season than there has been in any other, I think.
In Babylon 5, there's their doctor character, Dr. Franklin, who, in the main cast of the human characters, gets the least amount to do as well, but he gets a lot, and he's a very well-defined character. You know his virtues and his sins as a character, his flaws, and the things that make him a noble person to follow. The actor who played him was Richard Biggs, and one of the things that he really liked about playing that role was that his things as a person didn't matter. Him being a black man didn't matter. Him being virtually deaf never factors in. And why I bring that up is, with Wilson Cruz, I don't know where he falls in that discussion, in terms of there are very many actors who work that are part of marginalized or minority groups that do get frustrated with being pigeonholed in that thing, like, I must be this. Now, I imagine with Wilson Cruz, he is very much embracing of that. I think that is something that is wonderful. And why I highlight that is that him being a gay man and him being a person of color are the things that help boost up the character of Hugh as just this visual representation of how the times have changed in Star Trek, where a character like Hugh Culber was not one of our main characters in the 90s. He wasn't one of the openly gay person of color character who's in a romantic relationship with one of the other leads, and that's all Hugh has to him. And I hope that the actor playing him gets creative fulfillment as well as personal fulfillment from that being the case. While some like Richard Biggs, he said, like, for him, with what he was as a black man, as also someone with a disability, those two things were not enough for him as an actor. He wanted a good role. He wanted to be seen for his talents. And his definition
of a good role was not those things.
Yes, like, he wanted to be...
Wilson Cruz may think that this is genuinely the character of his career.
Give it a character
and be really satisfied.
And
I don't know.
That's all wonderful, but to myself as a viewer, I'm constantly wanting Hugh Culber to be more.
Him.
To have substantially more of a presence, because I think that Wilson Cruz is a talented performer.
I want him to be more, do more, and I want Michael to be more dead.
I'm not going to go into the Michael digs, but I just don't know if Hugh Culber's any better than he was in season 1. He's given more screen time, but does that mean it's any better? Is he anyone's friend in this show genuinely? Do you get a genuine connection? Do you get a sense of like, he is a father figure to Adira? Do you actually get a sense that he is Book's confidant and counselor? Do you get an actual sense that him and Michael are best friends?
No, not really. I do get a sense that he loves playing matchmaker with Saru, though.
Okay, so he's a wonderful character. I love him. Hugh Culber, can't wait to see you in season 5, where, how are you going to solve the Rubik's Cube problem? Are you just going to wave your tricorder at it? I don't know. But I just wanted to bring that stuff up about the Wilson Cruz as a performer, because out of the entire main cast ensemble, he's the one that I just feel is the guy that is spending a lot of time at the hotel or wherever apartment they stay in Canada because they aren't getting called to the set all the time, or they're not getting called for scenes as much as everybody else. And I just think a lot when I view season 4 because of the production issues that were laid before it because of COVID, and you saw it in the show, how vexing it would be for these actors to have to do Discovery and get the limited material that they get, like with Hugh, where Detmer gets more than Hugh. And I think of them having to brave travel and going to and from places at the height of the pandemic. And for what? So that we could say that Hugh's given slightly more to do?
Okay.
Am I being too harsh?
No, you're not. Well, I was being too harsh with my comment about Michael.
Oh, you were being too harsh against Michael. Was there a favorite Hugh moment, a standout sequence for you, a standout scene or line or character interaction?
The go get her buddy conversation
With Saru?
Yeah. Like, there's a particular one where he's just like, just ask her out, bro. Just ask her out.
I think of his story about his dead father and how they broke off his fingers while playing cards, and the whole family was
dad?
Okay.
It was a relative.
You win.
Sorry. I thought it was his like grandfather.
Whoever it was.
Yeah, the mum.
Yeah, and they stuffed him and embalmed him and stuff,
and propped him up in a way that he would have enjoyed life.
Yeah, and that was just a
which
scene.
Is a real thing. Isn't it?
That was a scene,
cool.
And gave us a little insight. Gave Wilson Cruz something.
Yeah, and a little bit more like culturally specific stuff.
I agree. I like that. That's
I feel like
added
I'm coming
to
across very
the
dismissive, and I don't mean to.
I agree that is a welcome addition to the character, because we need something other than his career and his relationship. That's all we have. And so even if we add a little bit of that cultural background to help broaden his character out, I'm here for that. I'm here for that because he is a character that is just languishing in every season. Now, this season, how did it change overall on your rewatch? What was the biggest change for you?
I feel like it just solidified my opinion of a lot of things. Like the fact that we're stuck in this loop of character arcs within a season, and the way that they shift things around in the ensemble to be like, and
to give it new blood.
This is the person who has this kind of problem this series. So, like, Detmer was having mental health and workplace problems in a different season.
Yeah, in season 3. And then in this season, Owo was having confidence issues.
Yeah, but also Hugh.
Oh, yeah, was having confidence issues.
And it was affecting his ability to do his job. But
how is that shown?
Even though everybody was relying on
How was
him.
that shown?
I know that one montage where he goes around talking to everybody.
It was shown by him saying, I have a problem.
Yeah,
you're right.
Talking to
Kovic.
Talking to Cronenberg, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we really saw how he had a problem. Again, bringing it up. Babylon 5. Dr. Franklin, he has a problem, and we see it. We don't just get told. We don't just get told that Dr. Bashir has a problem about being genetically modified.
No.
We don't hear just about the problem of Beverly Crusher being a single mother widow. We don't just hear about that.
We don't get shown.
We are shown and experience it. And, yeah.
I think another thing that sort of, I guess, evolved is the fact that I find it really funny that they talk in farts.
They talk in farts. We did find that amusing that they talk in pheromones and lights.
Yeah.
So I have
that's the ability to translate, and I know that it's not technically correct, but I like saying that they talk in farts.
I have 3 things that changed. I felt more apathy.
Yeah, like when the mystery is taken away.
Or just a
even
week-to-week new episode coming out. How are they going to screw up this week? Or what goofy thing? Oh, Nan's back. I wonder how that's going to contribute.
Maybe this one will be fun.
And
we weren't even looking for good when we were watching it the first time. We were looking for fun.
The second is, and this really is a tale as old as time, but out of all the seasons, I think this one really, really cements this as a truth.
Yeah.
Discovery's not a show to be rewatched.
Yeah.
This isn't a season
I feel like we must
be watched
have said
again.
This before.
Yeah, we did. This isn't a season to be watched again and looked at for those details that you do when you look back at a serialized show or a show that you enjoyed
Which
watching.
makes some of the decisions within the season very confusing.
Not even that, just bland. Okay.
Yeah, but like I vaguely remember this of us commenting on like the previously on and the way that they chose to do that. Or the way that they repeated information after showing the previously on. So you're not rewarded for even watching all of the episodes. You are actively spoken down to, it feels like.
Yeah.
Watching episode to episode, let alone watching episodes over again.
When it does things well, when they do those connective tissues, foreshadowing, setups, payoffs, the things that make a ongoing narrative successful, even those, when you're coming back, are very rudimentary. They're very nuts and bolts. They are there. They aren't ones that have that tastier flavor of a retrospective look at it, like when we went through season 1 and 2 and 3 of Discovery. When they did things well and we were looking back, we did praise those things. We did feel those things, as well as the negatives, and we had stuff. And that leads into my number 1 change around, which I did not think was going to be the case. I did not think this.
Yeah.
This is worse than season 3 for me. I thought season 3 was the worst Discovery has given us, even after we watched season 4 through that first time.
That doesn't surprise me much because you said earlier in this conversation that this made like apathy is officially worse than anger.
But I didn't expect that on the rewatch. Like, I didn't expect this to be
apathetic. So it's just like, yeah, of course it is.
But I didn't expect that through when we sat down and go, okay, we're going to do the podcast. We're going to come back to Discovery. It's been long enough. I really didn't think that I was going to come away from season 4
being like, it's
with
the worst.
It being worse than season 3, because when we first watched it, I did think it was a step up from season 3, but those other 2 factors that I just went through really are the nail in the coffin for season 4, where no one talks about season 4. No one's looking back on this. Barely anyone is referencing this. People are still talking about Strange New Worlds first season. People are still talking about the shortcomings and the high points of Star Trek Picard season 2 or season 1. People are in love with Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy. People still have things to say about The Burn and all of the stuff about season 3 and even season 2, but season 4 of Discovery, crickets.
It made something, like, it's just, yeah. I don't know how I went in feeling about the season. And that speaks volumes on its own, really. Like, going into the rewatched or going into the initial season, I'm like, I don't remember anymore. I don't remember.
Yeah, it is a real
it's a whimper.
It's like Men in Black, where they hit you with the flash, and you're like, oh, you don't remember Star Trek Discovery season 4, and you're like, what's Star Trek Discovery season 4? I didn't realize I should watch it. I give season 4 a yum.
Yum. It's a yum for me.
Yum. I knew that it was bad when we got 5 episodes in a row of yums.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever gone that many in a row.
Yeah, usually
you went the full 13. I gave 1, but the fact that we went 10 episodes in a row of yums, I really didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't necessarily thinking that you would give a yum yum this season, but I really am shocked at how...
I was hoping I would. I was really hoping that on some level I would find some enjoyment in an episode. And I found enjoyment in moments, usually for the wrong reasons. But I'm still just like... If people like this show at this point, I'm glad you have something in your life that makes you happy. But it just makes me sad because there's so much effort and so much energy and so much money that goes into making this show. And there are so many ideas with potential that I think could be executed in a much better way.
This season, we got very little engagement for our discussions. And I don't do this podcast because of the listens or the social media engagements or whatever, but I did want to comment upon that because... we don't always do the discussions right when the season came out. It's like we do it. We take a break. We take a while after the seasons come out. So it's not necessarily that. But even when we got people remarking about season 4, it was very much in a, well, this episode was all right.
Yeah.
And
Discovery. That's still going, isn't it?
To me, this isn't obviously something that is new to you. You've said this many times, but season 4 has really made me question if we should keep talking about Star Trek Discovery because it is such a fruitless experience.
I don't feel like we can say anything new about it either because the same problems are happening over and over and over again. And it's just, I don't feel like it's that interesting for us to have these conversations as they used to be.
I am not being able to be constructive. And I'm not even trying to be just rage monkey about it either. Some of our patrons and commenters always comment on our episodes being like, hey, good on you guys for giving this as much merit as you can, but this episode was a piece of garbage. It sucked. Like, the Discovery episode, it sucked. But we often don't just... I try not to just be like, this fucking sucked, bro.
We try and explain the why as well. Like... But I'm really... Like, I've struggled through this season to explain why it sucks because it just feels like it fails on every level of cohesion and coherence almost that it can. Like,
it is upsetting.
At various points, it's never like everything is fucked up in the one scene where it's like the dialogue is shit, the acting is shit, the lighting is shit, the sound is shit, but they like take turns in those things, and it's just like, if one part was failing and the others were succeeding, it could still be a really good show. But the fact that the faults that I find it shift departments, scene to scene, moment to moment, episode to episode. And it's just like, but what? Like, I don't feel like I can clearly express any more opinions about Discovery. Thus, in this series of Yum Yum Trek, I feel like I've just devolved into a harpy.
You've always been my harpy and my banshee. I am in awe of the fact that Discovery made season 2 of Picard an enjoyable experience to talk about. Like, when we talked about season 2 of Picard on our Patreon, we had highs and lows, arguments and opinions. It was something where you could engage with.
Really active discourse about it.
Here, it is also like Picard, where there's no character I care about. I've always cared about one or two characters in Discovery, hence I have liked it a lot more than other modern Star Trek.
Is that the hack for getting us to stop talking about a show? If you stop caring about all of the characters, then we don't have to do it on the pod anymore?
Here's what I'll say. We'll watch season 5. And if it's something that we watch it that first time and it comes across as being worthy of a rewatch...
There's something that we feel like we can bring something to that's worth...
If not, we'll just do a recap on it and say, hey, we watched it and here's what we thought. But I just can't go through this again, like season 4 again. When we finished season 3...
One of the gods answered my prayers.
When we finished season 3, I hated it. I thought it was the worst, but I was still energized.
Geared up.
Yeah.
You were like, we've got to leave it this long and then we're going to start.
But that is a recap on Star Trek Discovery Season 4. If you want to...
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. I know you're listening out there, Alex Kurtzman. Thanks for the listen and the download and patting me on the head and saying, good boy, Edmund. So... I will tell you all that we are on the social medias of your choice. That is in the description of the episode, as well as our email address, which is yumyumpod@gmail.com. If you want to contact us directly or shoot us a message, do so on there, our social medias under YumYumPodcast.
And if you want access to those Strange New World discussions...
Or Star Trek Picard Season 2 discussions...
Patreon is where it's at.
We have a Patreon where we make bonus content and you can be a part of our group Discord. But I would love to hear your opinions on Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. Were we too harsh on it? Did we just not appreciate the nuances of the season? Or were we too kind to it? Tell us about your experiences watching it from beginning, middle to end. Is this the best season of Discovery, as many people have said, or is it the worst or the most skippable?
Why do you think Jet Reno's wife doesn't have a name?
That's so funny. I said that
the president's partner has a name.
I said that Jet Reno's partner doesn't have a name as a offhanded comment where I didn't even know if that was true. And then I looked it up and I was right.
She just always says my wife.
My wife. That's their name.
It's
an alien name. My first name, wife, last name. They weren't even married. They were just flatmates.